Hello there viewers, and welcome back to another video today, where today I want to talk about whether motorsport has a place at the Olympics. So as you may be aware, over the last 2-3 weeks we had the Olympics. They took place. You may or may not have watched them, and when watching the Olympics I was thinking, well, where's the motorsport? Why is that not here? Motor sport. Sport is in its actual name. Of course it's a form of sport. Why is it not at the Olympics? And today I want to talk about, first of all, why it isn't at the Olympics, and then second of all, if it was to be at the Olympics, how it would be at the Olympics. So first of all, going to talk about why it isn't at the Olympics. So WTF1 made a video and also wrote an article on this just the other day. Basically the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, they kind of are not fans at all of motorised vehicles. They do not see that as being something that should be at the Olympics. So that is why the motorsport is not at the Olympics, because motorised vehicles simply are not allowed. So first of all, I do think motorsport will actually be at the next Olympics, at Paris 2024. I just don't think it's going to be there in its real life form. I believe that esports, sim racing, that sort of thing, will be at the next year Olympics at Paris 2024 in the form of Gran Turismo 7. So for those of you that aren't aware, back in May you had the Olympic Virtual Series. It was the first time that had been held, and it was kind of, I think, like a test event for esports becoming a part of the Olympics itself. Went really well in my opinion. Gran Turismo Sport featured at the Olympics, won by Williams B racer Valerio Gallo. Watched it, I absolutely love watching it. It was very good to watch. So yeah, I can see sim racing, esports, Gran Turismo 7 being a part of the next Olympics, but don't think that real life motorsport is going to be a part of it. If it was though, the format that I would like to see it take is in the form of kind of like a Race of Champions style format. So for those of you that don't watch the Race of Champions at the start of each year, basically what the Race of Champions is drivers from all across the world, from all types of different disciplines. They race against each other in head-to-head races. So you start off with like the heats, like the round of 16, and then you get like the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final. And drivers go off against each other in head-to-head races. And the races, importantly, they're not wheel-to-wheel races. The cars, they start half a lap apart from one another and then do 2 laps. So it's whoever completes the 2 laps the fastest in that head-to-head race, they then progress through to the next round. So that's the format that I think the Olympics motorsport could take if it was to ever happen. Now, vehicles. One thing with vehicles is they can be uneven. One car can be more powerful than another, so on and so forth, and that can obviously create an unfair advantage for people. People get dumped with a slow car. That's not fair. You've got to have quite equal cars. That's something which you can provide in esports, in sim racing, but it's very difficult to provide in real life. Now, one solution for this is you could potentially go electric. So with electric, you can make electric cars and just electric vehicles in general pretty damn even, certainly on the power front anyway, because you can set very exact power limits. You can set the power to an exact number of watts and be very even indeed. If you look at the Formula E teams, they all run on bang on 200 kilowatts, I think it is the limit in Formula E, and very equal amounts of power. So I think you could use a one-make car with the same amount of power, and actually I wouldn't use a car. Reason being that it will be unfair on certain types of drivers if you use a type of car which one group of drivers is familiar with and another set of drivers is not familiar with. So if you were to use Formula 1 cars, for instance, the F1 drivers would love it. They'd be right at home driving cars they're perfectly familiar with. Give that car to a rally driver or a NASCAR driver or a Dakar driver, something like that, and they are going to be completely lost. They're going to have no idea what they're driving. They're going to have no idea how to drive an F1 car. The technique for driving an F1 car is completely different to, something like a NASCAR or something like that, which is like a car from the 1960s basically. So that would be very unfair. My solution for this would be to use go-karts. So I would use electric, very fast go-karts, carts that are like as fast as a KZ1 kart. If you don't know what a KZ1 kart is, they are the karts that they use in the karting world championships. They're absolute monsters. 6-speed karts, they do like 100 miles per hour, completely crazy, too fast for most circuits. They're banned at Butmore, they're just way too quick. So yeah, they are what I would use, and I would use karts because most people started off in karts. Most racing drivers nowadays in F1, in rallying, in all those kind of things, started off in go-karting before spreading out into car racing. So that is why I'd use karts. Most people are familiar with them, and there wouldn't be too much of an unfair advantage against certain drivers who aren't familiar with those cars. So they are what I would use. And then in terms of the circuit, to stop drivers from having an unfair advantage, I would use a Formula E style street course. So I will build kind of like a Race of Champions style circuit on the streets, and I would build it just before the Olympics start, so that you don't get someone turn up and, oh, I already know this circuit, I grew up racing around this track, and they have some real unfair advantage because of it. You know, you could end up with having someone having like unfair like home advantage. If you think to the Tokyo 2020 games, let's say Fuji Speedway had been used for the motorsport, the Japanese drivers, like the Super GT drivers and the Super Formula drivers, would have had a massive unfair advantage over other people who have never visited Fuji Speedway before. So I'll use a temporary street course, like a Formula E track, built like that way, and that's how I would do the head-to-head racing. Drivers go 1 versus 1 against each other. Whoever wins each 1v1 goes through to the next round, and I'd hold it across two races as such, like they do in the Race of Champions. Go check out, by the way, the Race of Champions if you're not already aware with it. It's always great to watch at the start of each year, watching the likes of Sebastian Vettel, and I know Michael Schumacher and Vettel used to dominate it, so do go check it out. But that is my idea for motorsports at the Olympics. Probably will never happen, but we can always dream. We can always hope that it may one day happen. I think if you were to use electric karts, the IOC would like that because it's electric. It's, sustainability. It's good for the future. So I think that's one way where you could maybe try and sway them, try and persuade the IOC. I don't think it ever will happen, but let's just dream on. But yeah, guys, do let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I thought I'd just throw this quick video out there after watching the Olympics and thinking about this. Do feel free to like and subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you all in the next video. So goodbye.